Hey everybody, welcome to Don't Copy That Floppy. I'm your host Lex.
I'm your other host Dan.
Oh.
And you haven't listened to us in a while. It's been 2 weeks since our last show.
3
weeks? 3 weeks since our last show. Because there's an extra week in there.
There was a week that we couldn't do it, and then the next week was Hollow's week. Halloweenies.
I think my cat was eating something she wasn't supposed to.
My cat was eating bread and threw bread all over the floor.
Where did the bread come from?
She probably grabbed a sandwich out of somebody's plate again.
Well, I have something to do after the podcast tonight.
I mean, that is more pleasant than what other cats will eat and drag all over the floor.
That's true. This is not your premier cat eating bread podcast on the internet. This is your premiere, because I'm going to say that about us, even though it's a gross exaggeration.
Gross exaggeration. Horrible
your
lie.
Premier video game news podcast, broadcasting every Friday night, except for the last two, from 7 to 8 p.m. live on Chip It Radio at chipit.net.
You can find us on all sorts of social media, such as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Steam,
and iTunes.
And we have show archives that are, one is up on iTunes, and then another is on chipit.net site.
Yep. So yes, what do we got to talk about tonight?
We like to start out a lot of shows with Kickstarters that we find interesting. So we were going to start off with a couple of, two Kickstarters and an Indiegogo.
Yeah,
mix it up a little.
Then we have a bunch of kind of backlog from the last 2 weeks of trailers, announcements, like new game information. For the specific games. We have a little bit of industry stuff.
Some silly industry stories.
Some not as silly industry stories. Just a whole bunch. And a lot about Blizzard, actually, we ended up with. Blizzard and World of Warcraft.
Did a lot of news recently.
Warcraft-related things. So let's start off with the Kickstarter by Don Bluth and Gary Oldman.
Gary Goldman.
Gary Goldman?
If only it was Gary
Oldman!
If it was Gary Oldman, it would be a very different Kickstarter.
Seriously, I thought it was. I misread it immediately. It was like, Gary Oldman's a part of this? Why?
Yeah.
Does he really like Dragon's Lair?
So this is a Kickstarter for Dragon's Lair, the movie. For those who don't recall, Dragon's Lair was a radical laser CD arcade game.
Yeah.
Back in the early 80s.
Super cool. So it was all animated. It was all cell animations.
Yeah.
That played in certain circumstances. And it was basically QuickTime events.
Yeah.
Before people called them QuickTime events. Yep. Where you had to go through the dragon's castle and fight the dragon and save the hot princess.
She was so unnecessarily hot.
She was super hot and super scantily clad.
Just floated around and giggled a lot.
And we're like, ooh! Yeah.
She was like a ridiculous caricature. Granted, most of the things in that game are ridiculous caricatures.
I mean, Don Bluth.
Yeah.
Get him in there. And it was really difficult, too. You had to know exactly what to do in every room at the right time. Like I've watched, never played it, but I've watched a full playthrough of it on YouTube, because you just find it on there. The whole thing, when you watch it, was only like 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
But it's super cool. This Kickstarter the goal of this was to make a movie.
Well, technically, the goal of this was to make not like a trailer, but like...
Oh, was this like a proof of concept?
Yeah, it was to make a little thingy that they could shop to studios and be like, hey, this is what the animation's going to look like, this is going to be this basic story premise. Right. And they were asking for like $500,000 or $550,000.
$550,000.
And this started about 12 days ago. And it has only made it to 139,000.
Yes, 19 days left to go. So it's making money, but the chances of it reaching its goal are unlikely.
Yeah,
because this is definitely niche appeal.
And I think that it's also the fact that because like when you read it and you see that it's not actually for a movie, it's just for a little trailer thingy that they will then shop around, and if studio executives like that, then it will be a movie. So even if this got fully funded, it doesn't actually mean that the public would see anything.
That just goes to show you how expensive animation is.
Yes.
The answer is it is very expensive.
The Kickstarter video is like kind of fun because it's I think it's this guy, I forget who he is, but it's this guy who keeps going around being like, man, there should really be a Dragon's Lair movie, and he just finds Don Bluth and he's like, hey, make a Dragon's Lair movie, and Don Bluth is like, that's so much money, that's no one wants that. And they're like, well, why don't we just start a Kickstarter?
And we'll find out.
Yeah.
See, because I saw that this was happening, totally forgot about it, and that's why I hadn't had a chance to really read up on it before the podcast tonight, because you just, like, you came in and were like, oh, don't forget the Dragon's Lair Kickstarter, and I was like, oh, yeah. So I thought it was a movie, because they call it Dragon's Lair the movie.
Yeah.
That's the name of the Kickstarter, so it is kind of misleading.
A little bit.
Because I assumed, like, oh, they're making a Dragon's Lair movie on Kickstarter, that's cool. But seeing the price point, and then hearing that it's just a proof of concept, actually, like, that makes sense for big budget movies. I mean, I don't know how much most of Don Bluth's movies cost to make, but a whole lot more than $550,000.
Probably.
So,
I would love to see Don Bluth make another animated movie.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I like his stuff. But,
it's probably not going to happen.
It's probably not going to happen. We also got Friday the 13th, the game.
Now, we talked about this on our last episode, but it was so
right
long
when it started.
ago. Yeah, it's so long ago that it's actually now almost done.
7 days left, and it is only $62,000 short of its $700,000 goal. So this looks like it's probably going to get there.
Probably.
I'd be surprised if this doesn't.
It's been inching along for a while. I do think
it'll
that
get
it
that last few day push of people.
Partially, I feel like it's going to make this money because there's so many people involved in this project who have a lot of money because they're like movie directors and stuff that are really well known, that I think it's gonna, if it becomes a question of like even 50,000, they'll
probably be able to foot it.
Yeah, they'll just like some rich person in Hollywood who's involved in the project will just be like, fine, I'll just cop up the money.
Yeah.
And then it'll happen.
Yeah.
But like, man, Adam Sessler has been pushing this so hard. He's been doing so many press events. And it's actually
real bad.
It's actually almost sad because they have, like, he's been getting out there and doing tons and tons of press events, and it's like a very well-known concept. It has all these really well-known people attached to it.
People love Friday the 13th.
The fact that this wasn't immediately funded like we've seen with some other Kickstarters is really surprising.
People even love the terrible NES Friday the 13th game. Why would they not want an updated version of that that's actually good?
I know, right?
It'd be cool. Or you can play as Jason instead of just throwing rocks at him.
But can you play as Jason X?
No.
Oh.
Well, maybe.
Hopefully.
I mean, can you?
I want some DLC.
Is that a stretch goal?
I hope so.
Jason X.
And then they change the environments to be a spaceship.
The USS Crystal Lake.
The USS Camp Crystal Lake. It's a camp in outer space. It's space camp.
Man, when I was a kid, I always wanted to go to space camp so bad.
Well, yeah.
I bet it's actually super lame.
It probably is.
You have to wait in line with like 30 other kids just to get in an elevator and go up and down 3 times. They're like, that's what it's like to go to space.
Whoa.
What?
And then you go get some astronaut ice cream.
Yep.
Actually, then again, space camp's awesome. There's astronaut ice cream.
I love astronaut ice cream. You know what's a disappointment? Astronaut strawberries.
Really?
They're horrible.
I've never had them.
They smell like butt. And they taste like butt. The ice cream is the best option. I don't trust other astronaut food. The last of these sort of things we have is
an Indiegogo.
An Indiegogo by Lab Zero Games, the company who made Skullgirls, and built the Z engine specifically to make Skullgirls. So they built their own engine for sprite animations and things like that. Skullgirls was very successful for what it was. It was a Kickstarter game. This game is called Indivisible, and it is a side-scrolling sort of action platformer RPG game, taking ideas from all sorts of world mythologies, specifically a lot that you don't see very often, like Mayan, Incan, Cambodian, lots of like Thai stuff, things from like Bali and other like island countries in the Pacific.
That sounds cool.
It's really cool looking, and like India and stuff. they released like a prototype version of the game that people could just play. That has bosses and everything in it, and it's really neat. I watched a bunch of people playing it and like talking it up. They spread it all over the place, but still, they are only at $693,000 of their $1.5 million goal. So big goal, but they are a proven company. They've made successful, good stuff before, so there's no reason to think that this would be any different. But they only have 8 days left to make another like $800,000.
So probably not going to get there.
Not going to get there.
One of the things that they were probably doing, I think this is like, I know this is an option on Indiegogo, and I think you may need to select it as an option, and I assume that they have.
Yeah.
But Indiegogo is different from Kickstarter in the sense that A, way less people know about it, but B, and more importantly, if you don't make your total goal, your total funding goal, you still get to keep the money that you made.
Right.
So it's kind of a safer bet, right? So that means that, like, they might not get all the money that they want to make this, but it doesn't mean that it's definitely not going to get made. Like, they might still be able to do some sort of production on it.
Right. I hope it gets some kind of production, because it's really neat. It's got a cool art style. There's tons of characters you get in your party. They've got them all up on the Indiegogo to look at, as well as like teasing a few more. They've been revealing them as they go. They've got art for like some of the monsters and stuff. You got those awesome vampires from Southeast Asia that are all the guts hanging off of the head. They call like Penangolans or whatever.
Yeah.
They're super cool. You got wacky stuff like that. You got evil rice with the chopsticks stuck in the top.
Oh, that's like, what that's supposed to be?
It's the way you're not supposed to do it. It means someone's dead.
Oh, no.
It's supposed to look like funeral incense.
Why would...
When you're done with your food in Asia, don't put your chopsticks in like that. It's bad. It's bad.
But you're done with your food, so how would you stick them in?
You lay them on the top of the bowl.
No, I mean, like, you wouldn't be able to stick them in anything because the food is eaten.
Not well if you don't finish all of it.
You don't finish all your food. That's just impolite.
It is impolite.
I don't care what culture you're in.
Whatever. The point is, lay your damn chopsticks flat. Otherwise, someone's gonna die.
Lay your damn chopsticks flat.
I don't care about all these specifics.
Listen, kids.
Listen, children. But it's very cool. You play as a main character. You get all sorts of tools like an axe and a bow and arrow that you use to help you with your platforming through the game. So, like the axe, you can jump up and hook it into a wall, like slam it into a wall to hold yourself there and jump from there. So there's lots of really cool platforming stuff going on. And the combat system works kind of like Final Fantasy ATB Gauge, but also a lot like a game called Valkyrie Profile. It's kind of a cult JRPG with a really interesting battle system.
Okay.
That was on the PlayStation 1. So yeah, it's worth checking out. But at this point, it's not going to make it school. But I hope they make it anyway. I did hear the one of the head people at Lab Zero said, Mr. Mike Z, who is a prominent fighting game community guy, sort of too, said that this game was kind of a make or break thing for them. So depending on how much they make off this Indiegogo, I think it has big ramifications for the company itself, one way or another. But still, if they get enough, maybe they can hold it out and start development and find some money somewhere else too. So we will see. You know what Sony said?
Sony just spit in Microsoft's face real hard.
They did.
So
after Phil Spencer was so nice.
Yeah. We got an article from Escapist, the Escapist website.
5th of November.
Magazine. Yep, from 5th of November. And it is Sony declares that shooter fans prefer the PS4. But yeah, as Dan was referring to, this sort of comes on the heels of Nick Spencer from Microsoft Phil Spencer from Microsoft saying, man, the PlayStation is just a great product.
It's really going to be tough for us to beat them.
Yep.
Like, I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to figure something out. Like, he said, like, he lauded praises on them and said that they had a fantastic product. And in response to that, Sony says, people like shooters more on our console.
We do have a fantastic product.
Suck it.
We have a better product than you.
Yeah, that's the Japanese business climate. Our product is better than your product.
So there was some really interesting. I was reading this, and then I was also looking at a story about this that was from The Know, Rooster Teeth's little website,
Yes.
video game news thing, and they compared a bunch of numbers for different shooters that have come out. And the idea is that when cross-platform shooters come out that are on both the Xbone and the PS4, they sell really well on both, but they typically sell better on the PS4.
That actually surprised me.
Yeah, and that was not the case last generation. The 360 was the big shooter console then.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the on PS4 things like the Call of Duties typically sell better on the PS4.
I'm really surprised by that.
And then the way that Microsoft was able to sort of keep that stranglehold on the shooter market during the 360 days,
right,
was they would have basically they had the Halo franchise,
right,
was the big crux of that. And for the Xbone, they don't really have that right now. I mean, they're going to again once Guardians comes out, but
right.
As it is, they really haven't had a lot of system exclusives that people have loved for shooters.
Right.
So Sony has just done way better, because if you just take the cross-platform stuff, Sony does better.
That's that.
Sony is hoping that when like Battlefront, the Star Wars Battlefront game comes out.
They say in this article, and I've been noticing it too, Battlefront has been being pushed way harder on PS4.
Yeah.
Like, way harder. All the trailers have, like, PlayStation logos more prominently in them. Like, they're really... I keep forgetting that it's multi-platform sometimes because, like, I only have a PS4 and I keep seeing all the advertising for it with, like, PlayStation and Sony stuff around it. And even at events, they show Battlefront stuff with the Sony showings. Like, Battlefront's always lumped in with those, even though it's multi-platform.
Yeah.
So, they're clearly hoping for that to be a big thing for them. And I think probably will be.
Yeah. So what was the other thing? Oh, right now the only exclusive shooter that Sony has, this was in the No thing they were talking about, they were like, we were trying to think of an exclusive shooter type game that Sony has put out since the PS4 launched, and the only thing we could come up with was The Order. And I was like, oh yeah, this is not good.
Oh.
It was funny, they also mentioned that the studio, I think it was Breaking Dawn, that made The Order, after The Order came out, Sony dropped that studio and severed all ties with them. Like, almost immediately.
I mean, they should.
They should have. It was just so funny. I was like, man, that is cold.
That's ice cold. Well, part of me I wonder how much of The Order being a complete mess was the fault of the studio, and how much of it could have been oops, my phone. How much of it could have been meddling on Sony's part with trying to get it out the door on a certain time frame and stuff. And you can give them the developer the benefit of that, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff in that game that I'm just like, this wouldn't have been any better if they had given it more time.
Yeah, because we know that from what we've seen of the run-throughs of the story seems super incomplete. But at the same time, the gameplay that is there, aside from being extremely pretty, doesn't have much meat to it anyway. So it's not even that it's like really great gameplay that just doesn't wrap up properly.
Right.
It's just sort of lackluster the whole way through, and then is really unsatisfying at the end.
Right.
So my assumption is that it probably would have been bad either way. Dracula.
Right.
But without Sony there, it wouldn't have been nearly as photorealistic.
That's true.
Because they wouldn't have had the money to make it photorealistic.
It would have looked more like Nightmare Creatures or something in 64.
Nightmare Creatures.
So I watched a video. I'm sorry, that was the first game that came to mind recently. Because I was like, oh man, Nightmare Creatures.
Well, yeah, obviously.
I was rewatching.
It was Halloween.
Dude, Nightmare Creatures is... Bloodborne is just Nightmare Creatures.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Nightmare Creatures was ahead of its time.
Bloodborne is literally Nightmare Creatures. It's crazy. Like, they're the same freaking game. Anyway.
Dude, Nightmare Creatures was way ahead of its time.
It was. It was also not very good.
Yeah, if it had just come out...
It was fine. I shouldn't say that. Like, it's janky, but it was the janky you expect of a game of that type of that era.
Yeah, if it had just come out like a generation later,
Yeah.
it would have been so much better.
Yeah, it came out at that perfect time where, like, doing a 3D action game like that was just a terrible idea.
Totally.
At just that right time.
So yeah, we're gonna see if Microsoft can improve its numbers when Guardians comes out, but even if Guardians sells like hotcakes, which it likely will,
Right.
Sony's still going to be leading them based on a lot of these numbers because Microsoft's way behind. But again, this specifically is about shooters. Although, at the same time, considering Microsoft really made their name last generation off of shooters, like, what else do they have going for them? It's not like they can fall back on, like, JRPGs like Sony used to be able to do. And if there was ever another good Final Fantasy game, Sony could do again.
So, developer Avalanche Studios, who made the recent Mad Max video game and are working on Just Cause 3, has suffered from layoffs.
Now, we found out about this from Game Informer from Halloween,
back
October 31st.
Back on Halloween, yeah.
The spookiest news.
So the job cuts began after Mad Max was released. They have 2 offices, Stockholm, Sweden, and New York, which is handling Just Cause 3. 12 developers were given notice in New York. There was a similar number given this summer in Stockholm, but right now they're in the process of rehiring some of those who left. And they expect to keep hiring in the new year. So it wasn't a huge layoff.
No, but it seems strange because they just put out a big AAA title, which got pretty good reviews.
Mad Max?
Although I don't know what its sales were like.
I don't know what it's. I figured its sales must have been pretty good because the reviews were solid and it was not a bad game or anything. So yeah, I don't know.
So that's worrisome because usually you don't see studios condense like that after they release a successful AAA title.
No, not typically.
Unless they release The Order, 1886.
Yep.
Then they, are dumped.
Yeah, just get them out of here. We don't even want them.
So I don't know what the deal is with this Avalanche Studios thing, but I hope that things work out for them.
I hope so too.
I
think Just Cause 3 will be a big seller for them as well.
Yeah.
So
I guess my assumption with it is that they're laying off people so they can hire a new team for the next game they make, because that is certainly a trend with AAA studios that they will do stuff like that. And I really wish they didn't, because that's, like, really douchey.
Right.
But that is certainly common in the business world. So maybe that's what's going to happen. I don't know. Avalanche. Good luck, you guys. Just Cause is a good game. I would hate to see it die off after Just Cause 3. Just Cause the third time.
Just Cause.
That's what I call that game, because whenever you're doing stuff in
just
it...
Cause.
Yeah, it's like, why...
Because it's like the quintessential, like, don't do the story. Why? Why are you doing the story?
Just run around and blow stuff up, and everyone's like, what are you doing?
And crash planes.
Why are you just crashing those planes?
Just Cause. It's a fun sandbox game. Them grappling hooks, man. They're a good time.
Can you tell me what timer we're at for the recording?
The timer on the recording is 23 minutes.
We're 23 minutes into this episode. Do you know where your children are? So next we got a story about Geralt of
Riviera. Geralt's spicy cousin.
A story about Gerald of Riviera.
Gerald of Riviera. No, we got one about The Witcher, everybody's favorite Witcher, who is apparently getting a live-action film treatment.
This was news that broke on November 5th. We're specifically looking at a Polygon story. But yeah, there's been now The Witcher, for those who don't know, I mean, I'm assuming everybody knows the Witcher video game series, but what you may not know is that the video game series is based on a number of novels.
Yes.
So the
novels by Mr. Polish Poland Man.
Yeah, we're not even going to bother trying to pronounce that name.
The last name is Sepkowski, I'm assuming. That first one, I don't know.
But so really, the game itself is just marketing on an existing property.
Right. It's they're adaptations, because they're made by a Polish gaming company, too.
Yeah.
So it's just an adaptation of the novel series, which is interesting. And with how popular all of it's been, this book series is super popular, and with how popular the games have been, something like this isn't that big of a surprise. What with us getting like Assassin's Creed the movie and all that stuff.
So,
like I said before the podcast, there's no way it'll be worse than The Last Witch Hunter.
That's true. There's no way that it's worse than that. Yeah, I mean, it would certainly, like, you play those games and they're already so cinematic and story-driven that if you it would translate pretty easily.
It's being written by Tanya St. John of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
So I need to actually look this up real quick, because I don't know if they mean Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie from the 90s, or the TV show.
I don't know anything about Buffy the Vampire
Slayer. Because the movie from the 90s was written by Joss Whedon, and this person may have also, like, co-wrote it. But that script, the person who wrote that script is not the person I want writing a Witcher movie. Because the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie from the 90s is like a silly action comedy. It's like really goofy. Like you think the show is goofy, the movie is like a million times goofier. And it's fun and it works as a goofy movie.
No star has been mentioned as for playing Geralt yet. Who could play him? Let's cast him right now.
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum?
Done. We're done. Okay, here we go. So, this person is a television producer and writer. Years active since 1989, and they worked on Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, 21 Jump Street, a bunch of other TV stuff.
Wait, 21 Jump Street?
It is Channing Tatum! Oh my god.
The Tate!
Tate. And I think it was the TV show that she worked on.
Okay.
So
basically this movie's going to be hilarious.
It's going to have Channing Tatum in it.
Great. I like him in comedy roles.
And the director, I need to look up them as well, because, like, I've never heard of that person. And the
Oscar nominee.
Yeah, it says they're an Oscar nominee, but it doesn't say what they were nominated for, or, like, what the project was.
He looks like a hipster. Oh, man, this is artsy stuff.
Oh, no.
The Kinematograph.
Ambition.
Where he played himself. Or no, he directed it, excuse me. So he's an art house guy.
Yeah, I'm not confident in this project at all.
But he directed this in 1997.
Well.
He's Polish, I guess.
Yeah.
A Polish art house filmmaker and the writer of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
That is a weird combination.
And 21 Jump Street together at last.
And Sue Channing Tatum will be attached.
Oh, wow.
So the,
turned into an animated film. Give Don Bluth work.
I know, right? That would be good. So apparently there was first whisperings about this going into pre-production in August.
Yes.
So, they are well underway.
The movie's going to be related more to the original short stories rather than The Wild Hunt.
Oh, apparently they already made a big screen adaptation of The Witcher, which was as a Polish film called The Hexer.
Whoa.
But it was only released in that country.
Oh my god!
So it was probably like super low budget.
I want to find that.
We need to find that.
That'd be great. Cool.
So yeah, I don't know. That's a strange story. I don't know how I want to feel about that.
So remember when we were talking about how Guitar Hero's developers were posting reviews on Amazon.com about how awesome Guitar Hero was? It's happening again.
It's happening again.
But this time with Otherland on Steam. What's Otherland, you ask? I don't know.
It's an early...
But apparently it's on Steam.
Yeah, it's so it's an early access MMO game.
Yes.
And
which
it's
can't possibly be bad.
Of course not. Yogg's Ventures. So, it,
looks like there's a lot of colorful people exploding.
It's apparently based off a book series. In which the internet is the bigger deal, and there's all sorts of weird... You can go to, like, fantasy lands, but also cyberpunk lands, and there's all this crazy stuff that happens.
I'm glad you brought up the internet being a big deal, because that's relevant to something else we're going to
talk about. The internet is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
This just in. But no, so yeah, it's been on a green light from what I'm reading quite a while.
The game's rated mostly negative.
Because apparently it kind of sucks.
But there's a bunch of positive reviews left by people with no hours on record and who left no other reviews on Steam.
Or they would have, like, exactly 2 or 3 hours on record.
Yes.
So,
and they're all written in, like, really nonsense English. Like, I'm not that sort of representation addict. I favor a decent story-driven RPG, rather great illustrations and poor gameplay. Otherland is gorgeous, Unreal Engine, and has an awesome story. Loads of Journey.
Yeah, there's some really terrible English going on.
I appreciate playing Otherland. It's a decent sci-fi RPG.
I am torn between a neg, on the other hand, pros, survey, in light of the fact that the game is fun as such.
I exceptionally prescribe this to any individual who likes MMORPGs, or you are simply searching for a game to smolder hours on.
Smolder those hours.
So yeah, these reviews are clearly like manufactured. They're fake paid reviews by the people, or well, paid for by the people who made the game.
And it also seems very much like they either went and found like a bunch of people in China or South Korea or like India and had them write these and then translate them through like Google Translate.
Right.
And that's why all the grammar like makes no sense.
Right. So as of this writing, they've been trying to boost. Clearly, they did this try to boost sales, obviously, because then it's like the game might not look so bad, but it looks so bad that it's not really helping. As of the writing of this article, the game only had 18 players online, with the 30-day average of 8.2. So it's not good.
30-day average of 8.2?
It's really bad.
That's so bad.
It's really bad.
There's
massively multiplayer.
Oh,
Morph burgers.
Morph burgers.
Morph burgers. That's really bad.
Like, wow.
So the company Drago Entertainment is just trying to get any people into this that they can because there's just nothing.
Your cat just keeps eating that bread.
I really wish I knew where she got that. I'm like mystified by where she got that chunk of bread.
So, but yeah, so people are coming down on them and they're trying to get these removed, and that's probably going to happen fairly soon, and then Otherland will fade back into obscurity and eventually die.
I mean, this show will probably get them a few more players for a little while.
There was something else I read about this. I can't remember if it was this or something else. I think it was this, so don't quote me on it because this might not be factually accurate, but I believe it was something like they had really bad server lag on this game. So, and like really long wait times, even though there were only 8 people. So I guess it's just because their servers sucked. Right. But one of the things they did was, and people are speculating that this was on purpose and not actually due to server lag, was people would get this on Greenlight, and then they would have like to wait 2 or 3 hours before they could actually get into the game. And this came shortly after Google or Steam's service, where if you've played the game for like 3 hours, you can still refund it for full price if you don't like it. So that was the idea, that you don't actually get to play it for that time period, and then once you start playing it, it's already too late to get a refund.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Wowee.
Wow. Amazing. So, Lex, tell me, when you're playing a video game, how many monsters do you want to be in the video game? Like, what do you think is a good number of monsters?
You go with 23.
23 monsters?
Yeah, I think 23 monsters is
what
a good
number. What about a solid 5 monsters?
Well,
how do you feel about a game with 5 monsters? And that's it.
That doesn't seem like very much.
Doesn't seem like very many monsters.
I feel like all those Monster Hunter fans would be very disappointed.
What if it's a game that's entirely about nothing but fighting monsters as a team with your friends?
Like fighting one specific big monster?
Yeah.
But there's
only like Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
A game that has, like 70 or so monsters in it for you to hunt.
I actually assume Monster Hunter had more than that.
Depends on which entry.
Okay,
but usually they end up around there. They mix and
But yeah, if it was just a game where all I did was play in one game mode,
you probably want more than like 5 monsters.
Yeah, that would probably, if I wanted it to have replayability.
Yeah. Well, I hate to tell you, but Evolve is a game with only 5 monsters. I saw this article about Evolve, which I can't even remember when this game came out because I forgot about it immediately afterwards. This game came out February 10th. This game's been out for almost 9 months. And all these poor souls playing this game have been fighting the same 4 monsters for 9 months.
Oh.
I don't think there's even gear to grind for in this. It's not even like Destiny or Monster Hunter or something.
I mean, at least the difference with Monster Hunter, right, is that even a monster in Monster Hunter, that may be an involved battle, but It's not as involved as a monster battle in Evolve.
No.
And there's a player playing as the monster, so that adds another layer to it. It's true.
But still, like, come on. They've only had 4 monsters up to this point, because the 5th, they're getting...
Just now.
They just got it. Finally, it's something new.
It's definitely a great example of, like, too little too late.
Yeah. Well, this game got so much hype before it came out, too.
And then it came out, it was just crickets.
I ignored it for a long time after the release. And then finally, like, a few weeks before, the hype was so heavy that I said, I need to see why people care about this game. And I sat down and I watched an hour of gameplay footage of this game, and I didn't care.
Just didn't care.
It looks so plain and just nothing. Like, this is the whole game? Okay. Sure. And I mean, part of it is me. I'm a Monster Hunter fan. The comparisons between these games keep coming up. I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I do see this game as just a super Western, like, westernized poor man's Monster Hunter. And it looks sad. And now reading this, it just seems sad. This game is just depressing.
So let's see, what kind of sales numbers?
Not only is the 5th monster only just now coming out, you have to buy it for $10.
Oh, come on.
Seriously.
Evolve on the PS4 sold, what is this? This is in millions, so it sold 0.66 million units.
Evolve?
Yeah.
Didn't even break $1 million?
Didn't break $1 million.
Wow.
That's on, well, I should say, like, total sales, yes. But for the PS4, it didn't. Okay. For the Xbone, it sold 0.39 million.
Uh-huh.
Man, just another example. The PS4 just beating the pants off the Xbone.
Yeah.
For the PC, it sold 0.13 million. Man, nobody cared about buying that on PC.
Nope. There's better games to play.
And I don't think it was for anything else. Because it didn't get a last gen.
I guess they've been releasing new Hunter characters to play as well.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know how different they are. You know? So good for you, Evolve. You finally got number 5. Like, I can't imagine it takes that long to develop, like, a monster for this game either.
Can I point out that Halo Combat Evolved, the anniversary, like the reskin that they did in 2011,
probably sold a ton, right?
For just the 360, sold 2.37 million copies.
I'm not surprised. Halo 1's awesome.
It is. Although when I played that,
going back to it now, it's a little.
Yeah. When I remember my friend bought that reskin, and I was like, "Can you just play it in the original mode?" He's like, "Yeah." And there's like an option to turn off the
there's
new
a
graphics.
Bunch of different graphics.
And I'm like, "Okay, I'm just gonna play it like that."
Yeah, because they have a certain charm to them. Yeah, the original graphics, just that in HD. See what Evolve they should have done with Evolve is have it planned for like a year after release to have a new monster every month or something.
That would be cool.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
But whatever. AAA titles.
Or just have more game modes. It's just, I think
they have more than one game mode, but they're not that different.
They just really, like, sort of worked themselves into a corner when they made this game, because it is just, like, an interesting concept for one multiplayer game mode.
Yes.
That they made an entire game out of. So they can't, like, go in other directions, because then they're undermining the point of their game.
Right.
So, yeah.
They kind of backed themselves into a corner.
Yeah.
Just like you'll be when you fight the Gorgon.
Whoa.
$9.99.
It's a spider
It's a
thing.
spider thing.
Which actually makes the Gorgon a very strange name choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, on our last show, we talked about a rumor about an Until Dawn rail shooter called Until Dawn Rush of Blood. It's real. I didn't think it was real. You thought it was probably real.
Dan was like, this couldn't possibly be real. And I'm like,
it sounded so
probably.
weird. Well, and also the leak sounded so... It was so oddly worded and sounded like something someone just made. It sounded like a kid being like, yeah, they're making a new Until Dawn game. It's called like Rush of Blood, and there's gonna be this, and I know this because my dad works at what's this game? What is this game? Who made this game? Who made Until Dawn?
You don't. I totally don't remember, and I should know.
Supermassive Games.
Supermassive Games. Okay.
My dad works at Supermassive Games. He said they're making a new one. And you can get Mew if you move the Wendigo. So yeah, and it's being exclusively made for the PlayStation VR, which is cool. There's a trailer for it that shows nothing. It shows a guy talking about how he thinks it'll be cool to have a VR game, and a bunch of people with VR headsets looking around like idiots. Like every VR game trailer that's come out so far.
Yep.
Terrific. So yeah, that's coming out at some point. I want Supermassive to say something about whether or not they're going to start developing something else. They said they wanted to, but...
Well, we also have news that there's definitely going to be a sequel to Until Dawn, like a real sequel. But that's still a ways off.
Yeah. The sequel to Nier has a new trailer. I mean, it's not new now, it's about a week old now. And a title. It's going to be called Nier Automata. And that's all we know.
Wow.
Aside from the fact that now with gameplay, the game looks really good. Like, gameplay-wise, at least. The new trailer is pretty much just music and fighting. And it looks like a Platinum game. Which is all I wanted, so...
Okay.
We're all set. Okay, and the music's really good, which is another thing I was worried about, because the music in Nier is, like, stellar. It's one of the best parts of the whole game. And there's not much about the story. All they say is the world you see in Nier Automata is one where androids and mechanized weapons clash in ferocious combat and deserted wasteland. This setting will feature recognizable locales and faces to fans of the first Nier as well. Further details surrounding the game's playable character, whom the team insists is not female despite her appearance, as well as the plot.
Sounds like a JRPG to me.
Scarce. Well, in Nier, there's tons of like proxy bodies for people's souls and stuff that were part of this big thing. So she's probably just like a empty vessel or something that has no gender.
The main character may look female, but it isn't.
It isn't.
We're a Japanese company.
I don't think it's one of those things where it's like, I'm a guy, and it's like, no, you're not. I think it's going to be like a genderless protagonist, is my assumption. Like a robot, basically.
An android.
An android. An automaton, if you will.
Yeah, we have some great news about androids.
This is why I was saying the internet's a big deal. You know what game I love? Just a good old-fashioned game of Simon. Can we get Simon back in this? Can David Cage bring back his magnum opus? So yeah, at Paris Games Week, Mr. David Cage, one of my favorite developers, announced a new game because someone is still giving him money for some reason.
Somehow.
I got must have connections. So I like that this article only states Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls developer, as though even David Cage wants to forget he made Indigo Prophecy.
Even him.
Indigo Prophecy is one of the strongest... Indigo Prophecy is one of the games that hits the biggest downhill slope it can, as fast as possible.
Yep.
The first scene of that game is great. And then from there, it's just a nosedive. It's real bad. So this new game is called Detroit. It's set in Detroit in the future.
Detroit Becoming Human, I believe, is the full title? Or Become
No,
Human?
that's the tagline. It's just called Detroit.
Oh, okay.
The tagline is Become Human.
Sure.
And it explores what happens when an android escapes her factory and explores a life she wasn't built for.
Whoa.
Cage says the PS4 game will explore the question, what does it mean to be human? And then the greatest... there was a great shudder as their thousands of souls sighed at once.
It's just... This would be a really interesting concept for a game to me if David Cage wasn't attached to it.
Absolutely.
Because the idea of being like, oh, it's this really...
It's like a more hard sci-fi, sort of iRobot-esque look at android slavery, essentially, based on the trailer.
It's going to be in the near future.
Yeah, and it's like androids sit at the back of the bus. And all that stuff's in the trailer. It's like, this is an android standing zone. You stand here because you're an android. Ooh.
And I'm like, oh, these are really interesting story concepts to explore. Yeah. But because David Cage is making
it's going to be awful.
It's going to be horribly pretentious.
It's going to be really offensive a lot.
It's going to be impossible to follow.
Yeah.
But the mocap will be good.
The mocap will probably be great.
And they might get some good actors to be in it.
Look nice. Yeah.
You should get Willem Dafoe to be in it. Again. Yeah.
Willem Dafoe, you know what the saddest part about Beyond Two Souls is? Willem Dafoe wasn't even that great in it. Because the writing of his character was so abysmal. Mm. And actually, he was fine until, like, the end. Because then at the end, spoilers for Beyond Two Souls, he turns out to be, like, the closest thing that game has to a villain at the very end, I guess.
Oh, I see.
And then, but his motivations are, like, the stupidest thing in the world. And it all fell apart. His whole character was terrible.
Sounds like David Cage to me.
Sounds like David Cage.
I have a working theory that David Cage is actually just Nick Cage trying to make games.
So he can make a Superman game eventually.
Yeah. So he's working his way toward.
I think that Nicolas Cage would make a better video game than David Cage.
No, but if you look at the plot of Indigo Prophecy, like, Nick Cage totally wrote that. Like, come on. It's probably just an autobiographical game about Nick Cage.
That's what happened to him before he became an actor.
Oh my god.
He had to fight the internet.
Nick Cage should be in the Detroit game.
Oh,
one of the major.
Man.
That'd be great.
That'd be so good. He's an android bounty hunter who's after you to bring you back. It's like Blade Runner, but with Nicolas Cage.
Too amazing.
It's like Blade Runner, but with bad acting. So yeah.
So the trailer for this actually looks pretty good.
It's a great trailer.
And it's pretty.
It's really well cut together. Mm. It's really pretty. It has a lot of interesting imagery and, like, tells you a lot.
That all being said, I'm calling it now. Game's going to be awful.
Absolutely. Because what's going to kill it is the writing.
Yep.
The writing and directing and pacing of this game are going to be horrible. Because David Cage is bad at doing those things. But he keeps doing it.
Could I point out that Beyond Two Souls, a PS3 exclusive, I believe, sold 1.6 million, which significantly more than Evolve. From 2 platforms. So from both PS4...
I feel like Evolve deserved to sell more than
Beyond
Two Souls.
Right? That's Evolve. You're in a bad way, man.
Yeah, seriously. That game didn't pan out. The thing... I'm so upset. I was upset by this trailer more than I was intrigued by it, because the moment I saw that the protagonist was female and there's all this other stuff going on, I'm like, there's gonna be so many, like, awkward, rapey scenes in this game, because David Cage puts those in everything, like, all the time.
He does, it's true.
And there's probably gonna be a lot of weird, like, sort of racist stuff going on, but not, like, to make commentary on how it's, like, people are being, like, discriminatory towards the androids, just, like, because David Cage makes, like, super stereotyped characters. Do you remember the Chinese bookseller man from Indigo Prophecy?
Oh, I do.
Holy shit.
That was terrible.
He is so racist. It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
He was like Lo Pan from Big Trouble in Little China. But in like an otherwise, well, I guess I can't really call that an otherwise realistic game.
No, there's
never
nothing,
mind.
Nothing realistic about
At
it.
that point in the game, why not?
But yeah, so that's that.
That's that. Let's move on.
We're running a little low on time, I believe.
Oh yeah, we probably are. Yeah, we sure are. Hey, guess what? No Man's Sky got a release date. Almost, sort of.
Almost not really. We have more of a window, so it's going to be in June of 2016.
They gave us a month, finally.
And we got a new trailer, which shows us all the same stuff we saw in the other trailers.
But with narration. There's
a
a guy talking who says, I've seen things. I've seen Icon Planet.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
That's what I thought of. Yeah. Blade Runner, right?
Yeah. What was the
attack ships line? On fire off the shoulder of Orion.
Sea beams, glittering something.
Glittering in the dark.
Yeah.
I think it's just glittering in the dark.
Sure.
Yeah. All these
moments.
All these moments.
We lost in time.
Like tears in rain.
Yeah. Time to die.
See, David Cage couldn't write that. That line's great. He'll also never get Rutger Hauer in one of his terrible video games.
Oh my god, that would be great, though.
That would be great.
Nick Cage, Rutger Hauer, and a buddy cop video game made by Nick Cage. Made by David Cage.
Street Fighter V is launching on February 16th. PS4. Just PS4? Is this a PS4 exclusive? I didn't realize that. Oh no, PC also. But that's coming out in the spring. Dhalsim got confirmed as the last returning character, so we have one more brand new character to be revealed.
Ooh.
Very exciting. Dhalsim's got a cool beard now. It's awesome. Everybody's getting beards.
It's good.
They also said the game is going to get 6 new characters that are going to be added within the first year after release. So,
all right.
Those characters will be coming out. They'll be a DLC. You can buy them, or you can get them for free by paying for them with in-game currency, which you earn just by doing stuff. Because they said that was going to be a system
before.
We
reported on that.
Yeah, but now they're just reiterating, like, these characters are going to be coming out, and you don't have to pay for them. If you don't want them, just play the game. Bloodborne's expansion is coming out very soon. And apparently, before the 24th when it comes out, there's going to be a big patch released to kind of get the game ready for the expansion. And interestingly, along with that patch, is coming new content for everybody. Not just people getting the expansion. They're adding 2 new weapons into the game. They're adding more NPCs that you can interact with, just around the world. And a new feature called the League of Hunters, which is like a group you can join that has like leaderboards and things like that. So when you're helping and like fighting people, like there's actually like online leaderboards that keep track of it, and it puts you in a more organized system for doing that kind of stuff.
That sounds really helpful.
Yeah. So that's really neat. And then the expansion will come out, and we'll see what's going on with that. We have a few stories about... Oh, we're not going to talk much about this. Activision bought Candy Crush maker King Digital Entertainment, for $5.9 billion.
Which, as we found when we looked it up earlier, is
more than double Minecraft.
More than double Minecraft and more than Disney paid
Star Wars for.
All of Star Wars.
That's crazy.
Although Star Wars probably would have been worth more if, like, they could have gotten it without the prequels. I bet that's what it worth. Those like drove
pulled
down
the value down. Yeah.
Now you have to buy Jar Jar too.
If you leave the prequels out of this deal, it's going to cost you $10 million. Each prequel knocks $2 billion off the deal. Please get rid of them. Activision owns them now. They're going to make oodles of money. So all our last stuff is about Blizzard Entertainment and Warcraft.
Yeah.
Blizzard is hiring people to revamp StarCraft, Warcraft 3, and Diablo 2.
To glory.
To glory, quote-unquote. Because people apparently still play all 3 of those games a lot on Battle.net. And Blizzard wants to update them for more modern PCs. I'm imagining this as sort of like a Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition kind of situation.
Okay.
Would be what I'd imagine. So you make them run more smoothly on modern PCs and then maybe get some slight graphical updates, resolution improvements. Because that's one thing with StarCraft especially. That game's super low res by today's standards. So updating that to 1080p would be one thing to do.
Yeah.
But we talked about what are they going to do as far as replacing sprites or models
Yeah,
or
like
textures.
with Warcraft 3, that would actually be super easy because even though it's for them, it's their first fully 3D RTS.
I believe so, yeah.
So they can like reskin it completely.
Yeah,
and it would probably
even
be
update
fine.
the models and probably be fine.
But Diablo 2 and StarCraft,
it's all sprite.
Yeah, it's all sprites.
Yeah,
I mean, well, Diablo 2 isn't that like a sort of a halfway point?
Sort of hybrid. Diablo 2's weird. It's weird graphically, but because some things are 3D models made into sprites.
Yeah,
and some things are just sprites and particle effects and things. It's odd. Yeah. So there's no mention of the original Warcraft or Warcraft 2. But who knows at this point?
There's also a rumor that I was hearing about that they're trying to hire more people for World of Warcraft so that they can pump out those expansions even faster.
Yeah, they got to now. Also, Hearthstone is getting its next new expansion. It's going to be called the Explorers League.
I didn't know that.
Or no, it's not an expansion. It's an adventure pack.
Oh, okay.
Like
that makes more sense.
Yeah,
they
the other expansion just came out very recently.
Yeah.
It's the next adventure pack. It's an Explorers League adventure thing, like Indiana Jones style.
Well, that sounds fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And World of Warcraft. So you said they're getting more people to pump out those expansions. World of Warcraft is hemorrhaging subscribers again.
Continues to
hemorrhage subscribers. It's down to, I think they said 5.4 million people now.
Oof.
And Blizzard said publicly that they will not be making further subscription counts public from now on.
Yeah, that's a bad sign.
That's a bad sign. That means they're thinking it's going down.
It's one thing to like not announce it to fanfare as they have done like in the past. But it's another thing to say, like, no, you just can't know what the numbers are. Like, they must be very embarrassed.
That means they want to hide something. Yeah. They have their new expansion coming out, another new expansion coming out in 2016.
And we know that whenever an expansion comes out, they get that temporary boost that then fades away pretty quickly. So, I guess my assumption is that with hiring the additional people, they're trying to pump out the expansions quicker so that, like, there's less downtime for people to leave the game between expansions.
Right. That boost didn't last long with Warlords of Draenor.
Not at all. Yeah, because we reported on that initially. Yeah,
they got the boost, but it wasn't as big as they would have wanted it to be, and it went away pretty fast. Yeah.
Although a lot of people also talked about how Warlords of Draenor was pretty light content-wise.
Yes,
compared to other expansions.
Compared to other ones. I mean, it boosted the level cap up to 100, I think, but other than that, it didn't really do a whole lot.
So my guess is if Legion actually offers significant amounts of content,
which people right now are hoping it's going to. I mean, they're adding in the Demon Hunter class and everything, so that's their end game right there. Like, you can be just like Illidan. Please buy the game again.
Please. Yeah, that is horrible pandering, but at least it's not as bad as Pandaria. There's no pandering.
Shut up.
Nearly as bad.
Get out of here.
The last little bit of news about them is today. They released their trailer. Blizzard didn't do it, but Universal did.
For the movie.
For the World of Warcraft movie, or the Warcraft movie, I should say.
Movie.
Because it really seems like it's just based on the first Warcraft game.
Yeah, they stick him with an orcs versus humans scenario.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy about.
Totally.
And we don't need all that other stuff.
And that trailer, it's kind of a mess. You can go watch it.
Yeah, it's odd because we talked about how, wow, Blizzard's so good at making cutscenes. If they're going to make a movie, they should just make a really long cutscene. Yeah. And it seems like that's what they did.
It does.
But when there are human people in that one orc lady.
And that one orc lady that's a person in makeup.
For some reason.
But all the other orcs are CG. Even the other orc ladies in the trailer are CG.
It's so weird. But all the humans are real actors.
Yeah.
At least in close-up shots. So it's odd.
I was telling you, it reminds me of the prequel Star Wars movies, where it's like they took a bunch of human actors and just must have put them in front of green screens to make the movie.
Yeah. And as soon as you said that, a shot came up that like looked like the fields of Naboo.
Yeah.
When they're having the big battle.
But yeah, whenever you see the battles, it just looks like it looks like a cutscene from Warcraft 3, I guess.
Which is fine.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Yeah. Sure.
I can dig that.
I mean, I have no strong feelings about that movie one way or the other at this point.
It'll be. I assume it'll just be like a fun little action movie.
I'd watch it. So we'll see.
Sure.
Video games that have come out a lot.
Today, Call of Duty Black Ops Trace.
Yes.
Came out. We're gonna see how that does for them.
Halo 5 Guardians came out since the last time we podcasted.
Oh, I thought that didn't come out yet. I've been seeing commercials for it all over the place.
So it makes sense. Assassin's Creed Syndicate also came out.
That I knew, yes.
Isn't super glitchy.
It was only kind of glitchy.
Although
it did not have great sales numbers. Preliminary reports that I have read is that its sales numbers have not been that great.
Yeah.
But, obviously those things are still a little fuzzy until a month or two from now when we have a better idea.
Coming up, though, in the next week, we've got Fallout 4.
Big deal. Coming on the 10th.
Big deal. StarCraft 2, Legacy of the Void.
The last of the expansion packs that are the price of full games for StarCraft 2.
Yep. And
Rise of the Tomb Raider. That's going to be a big deal.
Yeah. And some other stuff.
On the 13th, Back to the Future the game comes out.
On PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox. Because that game already existed.
Oh.
Telltale made it.
Oh, yeah! I forgot about that.
So yeah, that's about it. We have been Don't Copy That Floppy on Chip It Radio. You can find us right here every week, Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. live.
You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Steam, and iTunes.
Yes. And we're on YouTube.
Oh, we're on YouTube. I know what's your name.
Yes. Yeah. So, look into all those things. Post to our Facebook page if you want. We post articles up there. We'd love if you comment on them. We'd love if you give us stuff to post or things you want us to talk about on the show. Whatever you want to do. So that's about it. And until next time,
remember, don't copy that floppy. Remember, don't copy that floppy.